Welcome to Dependable Flame, where we explore vintage petrol lighters, ashtrays, tobacciana, and other useful mechanisms. Make yourself at home.
Today we have a vintage Champ Austria flip-top petrol lighter with a synthetic wrap. We haven't had too many of these on the channel, just one or two. Also have had a Revolt lighter that was designed by the same gentleman.
This lighter shows plenty of blemishes, the chief of which is this, I don't know if it's a tear so much as the wrap has been worn down there on the back. You can see the seam, which I don't know if that's stretched or the seam applied as heat, but it is meant to look as though there are stitches, like tying leather or sewing leather together. The hinge is very tight. The tension for the lid is very tight. The bottom is marked Champ, patent pending, or shortened, abbreviated to PEND, Austria. And we had a little bit of vapor lock going, so I tried the old Zippo instruction trick, and that cleared it out and it lit right up. You can see the windscreen is convertible on the Champ Austria lighter. I began earlier listing the blemishes. They also include corrosion. You'll notice, and this happens a lot of times on these lighters, you'll see that the edges right under the synthetic wrap will tend to be corroded. I don't know if that's because moisture gathers there, maybe it's in a pocket. I don't know what these are plated with. It does seem to be sort of a haze to it, not as high polish or as shiny as you would normally expect chrome to be. The Toledo Bend site says that these lighters began being produced in the mid-50s. This is an Arthur Dubsky design, the same guy that invented all the semi-automatic, no, I guess fully automatic, the squeeze automatic type lighters like the Carrot. I can't think of what the others were right at the moment. The Champ-O-Matic was another semi-automatic. The convertible windscreen allows you to gain purchase and a little bit better leverage sometimes, whereas if the windscreen was static, you would only have to be able to squeeze in and possibly damage your windscreen, like happens sometimes when a Zippo or other insert type lighter, when the insert gets corroded or otherwise degraded and stuck inside the case. I don't know about this particular insert. I don't see a weld mark. I don't know if it's seamed on one of the corners or if it's pressed out of a solid piece of metal, but I like them a lot. While I had it, you saw how it was having difficulty lighting there, so I took the opportunity while we were here to go ahead and pull that wick up. I don't trim on the wicks anymore, at least the old ones that may have asbestos in them, but nothing wrong with pulling it up and kind of blooming it out, making it a little bigger, giving us a little bit better efficiency and opportunity for spark. The brute force spring that provides the tension for the lid to stay closed does have a tendency on these models to break. One of the first Champ lighters that I had, I wrote an article about it many years ago now. Well, I say many years ago, it was about 4 years ago. And I had replaced that spring with a feeler gauge, one of the thinner feeler gauge like you would use on to gap your spark plugs. Anyway, if you get a chance, you can go over to the website and read that article. You can see how the tone of that plating, as I said earlier, kind of has a haze to it. Definitely looks like it could stand to be polished. And besides the wear there on the back side of that wrap, where it is kind of, a chunk of it has kind of been drugged down, you see a lot of champs with wraps and sports series art, but I don't really remember any with advertising graphics. It also has some dings, maybe some discoloration, stain or two. Not a whole lot of corrosion, no green tarnish or anything like that on the inside. I'm just now realizing that may be because these were steel case. Maybe that's why when that plating wears, these all tend to rust. Or at least that looks like rust. I could be wrong. As I've stated many times, many times, I am not a metals expert. I'll make a educated guess here and there. Maybe I pull one out of my ass sometimes, but I'm not an expert. Just by looking at a metal or a plating, looking at color or appearance or texture and knowing what it is. Maybe I know a thing or two about certain metals. I can tell you a lot about ductile iron and grinding it. This is a cool lighter though. And another one that I salvaged from the workroom floor in there that has just been in a box that I really didn't realize how good a shape it was in. That wrap being torn on the back or worn on the back is a little bit of a bummer, but we just hadn't had that many champ lighters on the channel, and it had been a long time since we'd had one. So I thought it was a good lighter to pull out and show you guys today. 5-barrel hinge that is very tight, riveted to the case and lid, synthetic wrap, plated metal of some kind that shows some corrosion or tarnish or rust, especially around the edges of the wrap. Kind of an ugly duckling.
These are every bit as functional as a Park or a Zippo, and maybe you don't get the artwork that you get on some of those, but you can get plenty with synthetic wraps of all kinds of colors and designs. Until next time.